Oh, I gotta move it. Spin. Hey. I gotta turn that down. There we are. Hey, Marlene. How's it going? Turn that down a little bit. Hey, Marlene. How's it going? Oh, you don't see that. Finally got enough electricity. It's nice down here. It's starting to get chilly. Finally got enough electricity. Gonna get cold here on Monday. Hey, Jerry, how's it going? We're having trouble. The chat's... Hold on. We're having trouble with internet, with phone, with text messages because we got emergency stuff with NASA happening and everybody's sick. I don't even know what's going on. They're not even really talking about why they're rushing everybody back. So there's like delays and things aren't working quite right. Oh, we're gonna start your shit already. Hi, Susan. How's it going? I'm trying to read off the tablet. What's everybody been up to? Oh, somebody's being a jerk. Let's see what the hell happened. No, we don't get the same things here. Hope everybody had a good week. How's your weekend going? Hey, Jack, how's it going? I don't know who this guy is. What stupid crap did you say? Okay. I just wanted to check to see what they were saying. Oh, now we gotta do your thing again. Bye-bye. Otherwise, how's your week going? Anybody do anything exciting for New Year's Eve? Or this week? Hey, Sandra, how's it going? Oh, again. See, it's coming up faster on the tablet, and it's too slow over here on the phone. Ah, that sounds good. Pizza. Oh no, we can't get that famous. That's fine. Still having issues. A lot of issues. Hey, Bridget, how's it going? Well, I'll tell you, let's see where to begin. The investigations part where they're yanking everyone, pulling money, right? I thought the review was over because I got some paperwork in, which was fine. My mistake. When I went to the doctor the other day, there was a stack of papers about that high. They want every single one of my medical records from 2002 when I had the last heart attack and stroke and 9 months after 9/11. When my doctor saw, we sat down and looked at what they want. Some of it is gone. I had doctors there that actually retired, and those medical records don't exist anymore. That was, 20 years ago when this started. And the amount that they're looking for is, it's going to take him almost 6 months to collect and review everything they need and put it all together. Then once they get those records, it's going to take them anywhere 3 to 6 months to review all the medical records. This is strictly for a Medicaid review. So that means that the restriction on access at an ATM machine will continue until the review is done. So I made a phone call. I have 2 phone calls. I made the first one. I'm saving the second one. That's my last resort. I told this person who has an ear and, can get in touch with some people, hopefully, who may be able to intervene on my behalf, because I don't think that they realize that with restricting the access to cash and only letting you use your funds online, first words out of my doctor's mouth were, "What are you going to do? Not put gas in your car for a year?" I said, exactly. Can't do the oil change. Can't do laundry. Just think of every single thing you walk into the store and swipe your card for it. Psh, that's it. Can't do it no more. I forgot about laundry till this morning. I was just thinking about the car and what I can't do. I need tires. How am I going to buy tires? I have no idea. And it has to be an approved order. An authorized approved purchase. I've tried to buy stumps and it got rejected over the internet ordering stuff. And, hey Carol, how's it going? Hey Love and Life, how you been? So I made my call and it was to a fellow first responder, and politely explained that this was a courtesy call between professionals, and just letting you know, as of February 1st, I'm going to be parked outside there. This is how long this is going on, and I can't find a program or like a place that is like handing out cash gift cards. Everything is for a store, like Publix, Walmart, Target. Nobody's giving out money. Nobody is giving out money. And who the hell is going to fund me on gas for a year? So I said, until I can think of something or figure out something, I don't even know what to do. So I told them where I'll be parked as of February 1st. Hey, you got 30 days for somebody to come up with an answer to this one, because This is idiotic. I can't believe that no one thought of this, and neither could they. I was on the phone for about 45 minutes yesterday explaining this to someone. They couldn't believe what I was saying. I said, this has gotten totally out of hand. I said, besides the fact, you want people to start working as of Monday for their food stamps, 20 hours a month. How are they going to get to work if they can't put gas in their car? And everybody went, holy crap. No one thought of that. I said, no shit. Idiots. So I'll be waiting. I told them they had 3 weeks to come up with an answer, or I gave them an exact location of where I would be. I have to be near a store. So I told them which one, and they said, okay, I'll let me see what we could do. 3 times I've done this. There we go. Hey, how's it going, Wumb? I can't read that. So, while we were talking about that, they decided to stick my ass on the machine because I wasn't feeling good. I felt like throwing up. So he stuck me back on the heart monitor, and we went through my test results were 3 times as bad as they were in October. My heart's in kind of bad shape. My blood is really bad. Hey, Carol, how you doing? And there's not much we can do about it. He called me this afternoon to tell me he was in the hospital checking on a patient, just had surgery. And he talked to 2 of the other blood guys and another guy who works in the infusion dialysis room. And it's too far gone. It's too far gone. They even discussed transfusion. And he said that, number one, I couldn't take the antibiotics I'd have to take, and you got to be on them for a long time before you can get the transfusion, unless it's like some dire emergency. I can't take those antibiotics because they verge on being chemotherapy, and that my liver is doing really bad. So my kidneys aren't filtering the blood anymore. They're not making something called creatine, which is making my blood even thicker and stickier. And when we put my ass on the heart monitor, I was sweating a little bit. And he's like, I got the air on in here. I said, do you? I said, I was going to ask you. I'm sweating. So he put me on the heart monitor. My blood pressure was 225 over 185. So obviously I didn't leave the doctor's for quite a while the other day. I was there over an hour and a half. We spoke for a half an hour, and then he made me stay in the back room hooked up to the heart monitor for an hour, and I got it down to 167, and he let me go only because I told him I was driving across the street and laying down. So the blood pressure is really bad, and the heart's having a hard time with this. The blood is just like, he said it went from sticky honey to sludge to concrete in the last 90 days that we did this. We just did the blood test, and I did it when I was in the hospital in August, and we did them again in October, and they got worse from August to October. From October to 2 weeks ago, he was like, I said, yeah, I know, I saw some of those. The reason why my sugar is spiking so high, and it's pinging, the blood test is saying I need the insulin. He said it's only because there's so much blood condensed in all these places that it's holding all the sugar. So we can't even get a true reading on the sugar except for me guessing on the little machines. No, we tried. My mom had the same thing. She was a first responder too. And in case the nitwits in the audience don't know, I was a first responder to the World Trade Center, so you can knock off your fucking comments. Sorry. Same thing happened with my mother. Her sugar was spiking to 800, dropping down to 50. She was bouncing all over the place within an hour. And when my blood pressure started going up, we started talking about this. He had me on the heart monitor the whole time we were talking. And every time we were talking about certain subjects, I'd go for like 167, then it went wham, back up to 190. And from 190, it just jumps right into 210. He said, so if you're sweaty and you're nauseous and a little dizzy sometimes, I said, yeah, every once in a while. I get that if I'm walking around the store. He said, crap. So they told me today I'm on the verge of another, like I was in 2002, having a heart attack or a stroke at any minute. So I'm not supposed to get pissed off, assholes, in the comments, and do too much. So he said, it's kind of a good thing that you're stuck ordering food out of Walmart and you're not walking in the store anymore. He said, I need you to like chill out for a while. He said, I know the madness of this with not the money, and now we got to go through the whole medical review and bring all this up again. It's just, I don't even know where the hell they're going with this. Um, hmm? um, any of it, no, yeah, it's all over the place, all over. I have extra. My grandmother had a heart condition that I acquired. We have extra heartbeats, missed heartbeats, skipped heartbeats, and then there's times when my heart stops. She has that. Her heart stops beating. My grandmother's, the longest her heart would stop was like 63 seconds. And there would be nothing wrong with her. It would happen while we were talking. Yeah, he told me to, he said, I can't give you, he said, we can't do blood pressure medication. That's what I was explaining. When they gave it to my mother, it almost killed her. It dropped her blood pressure down to 40 over 30, and she almost died. I have the weird heart condition from my grandmother, so when they first gave me in 2002 the blood pressure medication, it actually stopped my heart. I don't remember it, but I remember waking up with 6 doctors standing around the bed when there were 3. So right away they were like, no, I told them what happened with my mother, so they were prepared for it to happen, you know. So no blood pressure medications. Um, and what was the other? And no blood thinners. I have a problem with stuff that does that. I bleed out right away. I ended up in emergency surgery because of what was that? Instead of birth control pills, I wasn't allowed to take them because of cancer. So they had a shot. What's called Depo-Provera. Yeah, I keep getting crap in the mail about all the cancer and stuff that thing causes, number one. But I started hemorrhaging. And then I went back to the doctor. She goes, all right, I'll give you the second shot. That usually stops it. I said, okay. Next thing you know, they're rushing me in an ambulance because I was bleeding to death. That stuff's insane. Don't ever take that. Don't let your daughters take that. It causes all kinds of brain tumors, all kinds of crazy, nutty stuff. I know people who are on that for years. Hey, Kim, how's it going? Oh, so that's that. There's nothing I can do to bring it down, and nothing we can do, for the blood. If I could take the antibiotics, the only thing would be to do a transfusion. And that sucks. Doesn't always work. And I really, I turned down 2 of those in New Jersey before I got here. My kidneys were acting up. I didn't know at the time that I was getting kidney cancer. I didn't know even I had kidney disease because, there was nothing wrong with us. So it wasn't until I got down here that I found out all that stuff. But telling me that nothing was wrong and then telling me I needed a complete blood transfusion, but wasn't really explaining why. That's when I was like, you know what, I need to get out of here and go back to Florida. So I know we're having problems with the internet down here because we're rescuing the astronauts from outer space. So the phone calls aren't working, text not working right. I couldn't get on. I was late coming on. I couldn't even get a signal. And then all of a sudden it just popped up. I said, quick, hit live. Hey, Cheryl, how's it going? I just saw you, sorry. Yeah, no more oils. I'm having a huge problem because of the sticky blood with the cholesterol is jamming packed. My arteries are just, forget it. I got calcifications in all 3 valves. So I have what my grandma had on top of the damage from 9/11 from inhaling all that crap and eating asbestos. The only thing we don't know is if the liver and the kidneys are acting up because I've been on the Prilosec for 8 straight weeks now. And for 8, that's why we're doing these tests. Now, in 90 days, I've been on it 2 months out of the 3, and I've gone downhill. My kidneys aren't making creatine. They're not cleaning my blood. Everything's going wrong. So now it's like, if I stop taking a Prilosec, I won't be able to eat, like at all. I'm going to be back to that again, drinking everything, and I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's like it doesn't matter. The only good thing is that the Prilosec is keeping something called ketoacidosis from happening. But it's aggravating the kidneys and the liver, which is putting more stress on the heart already. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. But the aggravation of this, going through this, he's like, I'm worried you're going to end up having a heart attack before this review is over. He said, we're just sitting here talking about it, getting the records, and you're 225. He said, what happens when we run into a problem and that 225 goes back up to 315 like it did before in 23? I said, yeah, I know. My blood pressure in 23, as I was leaving the house, I had to go to the police and get a restraining order against the nurse that lived next door, who was the head of our HOA. When we got a restraining order, my doctor called the cops and told them what happened, faxed them over a copy of my blood pressure and what she had done to me, threatening me with all this bullshit, calling the Board of Health and everything, not giving me time to find someone to fix the house some way. That's what he's worried about, and that's what I'm worried about. So I have to call Social Security on Monday, tell them that they just got the paperwork because someone sent it in December, and the girl in his office saw that I had an appointment in February. She didn't even think that a stack of papers came out of the fax machine that big that said Social Security on it, that she didn't even give it to the doctor. She didn't even tell him it came. She didn't call me and ask me, do these have to be in before the end of the year? She's been sitting in a freaking drawer since December 10th, a month. So they're probably pissed off that no one answered them or sent them any medical records. They haven't heard from my doctor. They haven't heard from anybody. I'm lucky I'm getting the money right now. Now I understand why I'm under Medicaid review. It took all I had to explode in that office. I wanted to curse that woman out. I let her know that's the reason why we're going through this now. It would have been over, but you never told. How could you look at those papers? Every single day that guy's in there signing the Social Security papers for people to get on disability, get their Social Security, get a handicap sticker. This guy's entire practice is made up of people between the age of 50 and 100. He's geriatric, diabetes and heart issues and breathing disorders. How didn't she fucking say anything? And knowing what I'm going through. She's known about this since the shutdown in October. He thought when the shutdown ended, everything went back to normal because I hadn't seen him. And when I told him, I said, no, this is still going on. He said, well, how are you going to put gas in your car? I said, I can't. So now we had to cancel my appointment in February. I have to go see him in 2 weeks. And that'll probably be my last appointment because I told him, fucking February 1st, that's it. I'm out of cash. That's it. I got my change. I got to change in. I'm done. I'm freaking done. I am done. So I'm glad I made as many friends with the cops, but the problem is I'm not in the same area. So that's why I needed to call the big guy and tell him, I don't want to say his name, but I'm sure you've seen him on YouTube. And tell him what's happening. I apologize now, but yo, what the hell? So we'll see what happens. If not, if we can't figure something out by the end of the month, I'm gonna have to spend what gas money I have and drive to Tallahassee and have a little chat with Governor DeSantis. I was hoping he's been running around doing speeches all over the freaking state, but he seems to be very busy on the West Coast, and I don't have enough gas money to get 5 hours that way. And see if he's talking somewhere and just I can get to one of his assistants and tell her what's going on, and I need some help with this. I need someone to freaking intervene. This is ridiculous because I don't really think they even thought of this. Well, they will soon when people don't go to work for their welfare checks and their food stamps. They're going to realize when about 20 million people can't get there and why they're not showing up to go to work for their food stamps. There got to be a reason why, you idiots. Yeah. But, yeah, no, it's quiet where I am now. And we got a shitload of cops. They're all over the place. Anywhere you go around I-95, you're going to see a load of police. A load of police. We have one fatal car crash every day. We had 3 in one day. It's been getting ridiculous. We have like a 50-mile stretch of I-95 that's become now the most deadliest for like, I don't know, like 5 years in a row, the most deadliest highway in America. It's insane because, you know, it's 75 miles an hour. Come on. You got sleepy people who just got here from another state, probably been driving 40 hours in the car, half asleep, doing 80 miles an hour with tractor trailers and a bunch of morons racing up and down I-95 with their little Fast and Furious cars. It's been ridiculous. It's been ridiculous. But even on the local streets, It's been bad too. And there's one intersection where every single day there's like a 3-car crash, and it's just ridiculous. They need to get rid of all the right on red in Florida. That's the biggest problem. Besides the red light runners and people hitting the gas way too soon. In a state where everybody bitches that everybody runs the red lights, the minute it turns green, they stomp on the gas instead of waiting and making sure, that guy's through the yellow all the way. We stopped driving during certain hours of the day. You just can't. It's crazy. So, what else? That's about it. So, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to figure it out. They won't let me buy the Visa card, so I put the gas in. So, I don't know what to do. Yeah, that's about where I feel like I am. Down the river. and still no letters explaining anything. This was all done without no notification, nothing. No letters. I did, if I didn't call, I wouldn't have known what the hell was going on. They didn't even notify me that they were sending the packet to the doctor's office and what they're looking for. I have to keep calling them to find out. So now I gotta find out what's going on Monday. And there's nothing they can do because it's not them holding back the debit card. It's the federal government, not Social Security at all. They're putting the money in, but it's them who decides everything. And now they're kind of deciding what you can and cannot buy, and that's really pissing me off. Yeah. And when I talked to him, this other guy from the VA, he said, yeah, they just did a sweep of age. Anybody who is under 65 and also people who were underage, say I was 32, 32? Yeah, 32. Almost 33 when I went on the disability. After 2002, I was 33. So anybody who got on that young, but it's all, what doesn't make any sense is that it's in Social Security's records. I was on before, I was on a trial period, 9/11 happened and screwed everything up. I had the 2 heart attacks, I had the stroke. They have all the paperwork from the hospital. 2 of them happened in the hospital in front of the doctors, and they contacted them, and everything was hunky-dory. It only took me 90 days to get back on. They said, no, you can't do this anymore. This is ridiculous. You're going to die. This is crazy. No. Okay, go back on. If I stayed, they weren't... was something about the insurer. If I didn't quit working, if I'd stayed working, knowing what could happen to me, and really bad stuff happened, then don't come looking to us to pay the bills. I would have had to gone with whatever work insurance I had, which was awful. It was awful. Yeah, I'm in my van right now. I lost my house because of Hurricane Ian and Nicole and a tropical storm that destroyed it. 2 summers in a row. 2 summers, 2 winters, 21 and 22. We had back-to-back craziness. When little tornadoes came and lifted the house up twice, and we went up about 8 feet this way until it only grabbed one side of the double wide, and we went up about 8 feet and slammed back down to the ground, me and the kitty. on the couch. I went from sitting down to standing up. And then the next storm came in. The hurricane came in, and it came from the west coast, and it lifted the house up that way and slammed it back down, and poof, that was enough for the roof just to keep doing this. I had waterfalls inside the walls of the house. There was nothing coming in dripping like in the living room or the bathroom. Everything was interior. I opened the closet door. I opened my grandma's door. There was like a foot of water in the bedroom, but not in the hallway. So I'm looking around. I see it's come pouring out of the closet. I open the closet. The walls are all down. Water's just pouring inside the walls. I never turned the electric back on. I've been living like van life in my house since December of 21, 2 months after Richard died. We had that first hurricane, and that was it. I had to go out and buy solar panels and the batteries, so I was doing all of this in my house because the electricity was so damaged I couldn't turn it on anymore. I had electricity in my shed, but it was on a separate thing. So I had shut down the whole mobile home. Normally what we do down here anyway, even if you're in a house in a hurricane, the night before, you shut all the electric, shut all the power boxes, and if you can, there's a breaker outside your house leading from the main power company thing. You always shut your breakers off inside and the one outside. No electricity during hurricanes and tropical storms. I'm lucky I didn't, we didn't have fires with that old, we got old wire, we had fabric wiring in that mobile home. It's from 1982. My father did upgrades, but I don't know we couldn't find any real good wiring in that house when we redid the floors and the closet walls. I couldn't find anything, so I never turned it back on. It was nice having a $25 electric bill, though. But yeah, so half of what I have in the van as far as solar lights, this light is from 2021. And it still works good. I lost one of them along the way. I think I left it in that my other storage unit. But I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's getting desperate. I know I don't sell anything. No t-shirts, no stuff like that. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was buying... Where the hell are they? Here, this is what I've been living on the last month. When I figured out, I had thought about it and said, you know what? Let me give this a shot. Wait, Amazon on the front. I was getting these from Amazon. That's how I've been putting gas in the car for the month of December. I gave it a shot and it worked. Walmart gas and most of the places take this, so I didn't have a problem. So I couldn't get it out at the Mac machine, so I was doing this. As of Monday, you can't do that no more. And it says only good in the United States. I can't mail it to no relatives in another country. And there's no cash back. No cash value, no cash back. Only good in the United States. And I went to order one, and they canceled the order. They said it was an unauthorized purchase. I can't make that purchase because I remember someone saying that they were going to do this, and they were thinking about cutting off, like people were doing that. They're going and they buy the Visa, take all the money off, buy a Visa card, and mail it back to their relatives in another country. So they cut off those as of Monday. My card was on an Amazon truck, 4 hours from being delivered. It was like 50 miles away on its way to my thing, and they called Amazon, had to call the driver and said the order's been suspended, and oh no, now it's canceled, bring it back. They gave me my money back. So they canceled the debit card, those Visa cards, and put the money back in my account. I was like, oh. I was that close. I was 4 hours away from having gas. Oh, God. No. No, the person who owned the house, it was only a couple, we only had a little bit of damage. The house was still intact. The whole thing came down. It wasn't the structure, it was the roof and the water damage. It took them 18 months to get from the West Coast, where Hurricane Nicole, with a million people got flooded out over there. All our handymen from the East Coast, they did the split. They all went over there. They got government contracts for housing developments. They're making a fortune. There was not one handyman on the East Coast of Florida within a 60-mile radius. Everybody went to the West Coast. That was it. They were gone. 18 months later, people's houses in my trailer park were still, a couple of the walls and the carports were being held up with 2x4 braces. There were houses worse than mine. 18 months, 2 years before they showed up to check us out. Of course, no FEMA money. It was gone. They ran out. And then they just, in a 72-hour period, when the guy came to my house on Friday morning to Monday morning, 300 families, 300 houses were condemned, and we were all kicked out of the property. When I had showed up at one of the parks at the campground that night, the first day, by 8 o'clock that night, the park had 250 people coming in looking for a campground. She said, the lady came to me and she said, what just happened? I said, oh, FEMA went up and down 95 to every single trailer park and kicked out over 300 people. She goes, that's what you were talking about? I thought you meant 300 miles. I said, no, 300 families got kicked out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it started on April Fool's Day. That was nice, wasn't it? They couldn't have waited till Saturday. They had to start throwing people out on April Fool's Day. I swear to God, I thought it was a joke. Hey, Shazzy. How are you? Thank you for subscribing. So, yeah, that was a hell of a weekend. I didn't feel so bad, It was horrible getting kicked out, I do evacuation shelters and stuff for a living. We did 2.5 years, Hurricane Sandy, before we had the last shelter shut. We kept them open until every single person had a place to go or their house was finished. We worked overtime on that, I'll tell you that. And sleeping on the floor for a year downstairs with them. I had an apartment. We had them in our different places. My apartment building had government offices in the lobby, so we had a separate power grid. After 9/11, we had all kinds of stuff and generators and all kinds of new antennas and CB giant cell phone towers, but for CB radios and our walkie-talkies and stuff, just in case. Thank God we got all that stuff, because let me tell you, that came in handy during Hurricane Sandy. That was insane. But getting kicked out by the same guys, that sucked a lot. I begged and cried. I said, please. He said, then I can't leave you here. I said, why? He said, because that's going to be nepotism. They're going to say I left you here because you're a first responder emergency services. You know you gotta go. I said, where am I going? Right there, you're looking at. You're standing right next to my van. I did this in the van for evacuations. They jack up the hotel prices up to $400, $500, $800 a night. It's insane. There's no resident discount. You don't get the $100 hotel room. That's now $500 a night. They raise those prices 2 weeks before the hurricane comes. They start raising the price of the hotel room so they're not gouging when it gets here. There needs to be rules about that too. You can't. I no one should be raising the price of rooms during hurricane season. Enough with that. So I gutted out the car and started camping in it with the cat. You know, going all over, checking out all the state parks. I haven't been to see different places like that since I was a kid. So I traveled around the whole state from the end of 21 till the winter of 23. I just drove around the state for a year and a half in the van with the cat. So I did this just to evacuate. So I don't have to pay $300. I can go right to a shelter and park in the parking lot. I got a toilet, got a sink, got my food, got my batteries. I hook myself up. It was worth spending the money on this versus, and then what happens if the house is damaged? Where am I going to live? I'm going to rent a hotel room at $100 a day? I didn't have that kind of money. I'm living on $800 a month. Yeah, I know. I saw that. I heard about them changing the maps. Hey, Alpha, how you doing? I started the channel. It wasn't my idea. It was Richard's idea for me to start the channel in 21. I had just gotten the bulk of the rest of my diagnoses for September 11th and all the big ones that they wanted. And I gotten the lung samples. We found asbestos. We found 140 different toxic chemicals in my lungs, in my blood. We did a 65-day DNA, picking apart with a pair of tweezers every single thing that this woman could find. And she did such a good job that no one could dispute anything. That no matter what I needed, the insurance company was okay, this is great. You don't even have to put a claim. We're going to pre-approve you across the board for every test, blood test, x-ray, CAT scan. We don't care what it is. You don't have to call us. You don't need approval. Just get it done and send us the bill. So I'm still trying to figure out what the issue is with the Medicaid thing and why they want a stack of papers this big when they have it all. Just saying. They've had this since 2018. It's 2025. They were the first ones to know. And they ought to know because I don't know how much. I think it was $50,000 or more, maybe $100,000 for that 65-day DNA thing they did. They went back and found they found napalm in my blood from when my father was in the Marines and then the Delta Force from 1968, 67, and 63. Because they have different signatures. Every year they change the chemicals so they know what year they used it. I was like, damn. When they gave me the list, I was on the phone with her for over an hour and a half with her rattling all this stuff off. Like, jeez. She says, but, she goes, that's not included. What's included is the 140 toxic chemicals out of the 157 we were exposed to on September 11th, and then for the first 9 months of the burning. So we started this in 21 to start documenting because it was taking us so long to get sick then nobody thought anybody really was, and it was weird stuff happening. But then all of a sudden, around 2000 and between 2008 and 2012, people started dropping dead. Heart attack, heart attack, heart attack. With 3 friends of mine who I see every day, known my whole life, 33 years old. This guy had a series of like 10 heart attacks. He had a couple of strokes in between. He actually died because he was on the waterfront and my mother was at the top of the hill. So he got more of the ash cloud kind of contaminations. She got more of the burning fire, breathing it in, stuff from being outside for 9 straight months every single day. He actually died before she did. And there was nothing wrong with his heart before that. Nothing wrong with it. But he spent a little bit more time down there too. Plus Hurricane Sandy, there was such toxic crap came in, and everything that had been contaminated through 9/11 that had settled into the dirt with that ash cloud like you saw in New York, that was in New Jersey too. It blew through at 100 miles an hour. It didn't even slow down. I had cracks and stuff all over my windshield because I drove through it head on. When I came out onto the waterfront going to the Lincoln Tunnel, we were evacuating everybody from Manhattan into New Jersey through 3 different ports. Mine was the Lincoln Tunnel, then the Hoboken with the Holland Tunnel, which was directly across from the trade towers. We were about 5 miles north. My town was covered in crap. There was stuff everywhere. Plus 250,000 people came off the boat through my tent. So for 24 straight hours, I was contaminated 250,000 times. I had to get everybody's name, sign them in, put them in the triage tent, get names, get phone numbers. So I personally spoke with 250,000 people that day, covered in crap, after I went and took a decontamination shower with a hose and a bucket of bleach in the backyard, threw on my little blue jumpsuit and ran down to the waterfront. So when Sandy flooded, there was so much stuff in just in the dirt, and that brought it all back up again. People were getting sick who lived down on the waterfront maybe 4 years after Sandy. They started getting all kinds of crazy legionnaires, crazy cancers, and it was realizing that they were digging out their house with their bare hands and all that contaminated soil. Mm. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's like everybody, it takes 25 years for asbestos to turn it, for that to turn into cancer. Then it takes 18 to 22 years to kill you. Mine just kicked in like 2019. I woke up coughing up blood. I was covered in blood. I was coughing and coughing. I thought I was throwing up, and I stood up and I was covered in blood. Drove myself to the hospital in the middle of the night covered in blood. Like, what the hell is going on? And I said, I know what it is. This wasn't good. But yeah, one of my best friends lived down the block from our building, and she died on the same day, 4 hours after my mother, the same breast cancer we all got. It was bad. We had over 400 women in a really small town. We were only 4 miles, 5 miles long by half a mile wide. Very thin, tiny town that stretched like a little triangle, like a hot dog bun, like that. 438 women in one town. We didn't have a lot of people. We had a whole undeveloped waterfront. So a lot of the residents are getting sick, and now there's a fund if you just lived in New York City, worked in the area, or even were on vacation and staying in the lower Manhattan area. That means from the George Washington Bridge to the tip, to the end, to the where the World Trade Towers were. You can now put in a claim. Really. You gave us crap for 25 years up until just 5 years ago. It wasn't until 2018, 19 that we got that, no, 2017 that we got the test done. We finally got the truth out. So, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, we had a lot. We had a lot. Most of the people who got sick and died during COVID, the first 100,000, most of those were September 11th first responders or workers, town workers, DPW. My friend Maz that died, he was Department of Public Works, and they all helped out. They didn't just stand there. No, they took the trucks. They were bringing us stuff. They were doing everything, everything, and they got same sick as we did. That burning smoke for 9 months was ridiculous. We had to tape our windows closed. Every house on the Hudson River, every apartment building, every house, everything had plastic and duct tape over every window. We had to cover every air conditioner. You had to throw your air conditioners out because they couldn't be cleaned. They had all that soot and stuff inside. We had to rip the air conditioning off the top of the building. That thing was like size of a tractor trailer up there. They had to pull that off, wrap it up, and a special truck came and took it away. It wrapped up in tarps. I was like, and I'm sure not every building in New York replaced those air conditioning systems. I doubt it. And all those high rises, all those people are getting sick now. I know people who live in Brooklyn got lung cancer, almost the exact same as what I have, because the ash cloud floated. As it thinned out, it became invisible. Like, it just became so fine, the dust, that you couldn't even see it, but you could feel it. Like being at the beach, you feel sandy, but you don't see sand blowing around, but it is all over the place. So, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I have to park myself outside a food store. Yeah, I heard that flu is bad. We got crazy things with the kids, and the super flu hit Florida, and they're saying it's awful. I was like, I'm kind of glad I don't have to go into the store anymore, but what a pain. I still got to get my ice, so I try to go on off hours, try to be the first person in the store when they open. So, which is good because I'm usually just me and the girls and the guy who work at the register. There's only three of them in there. So I'm always waiting. I'm up at 6 in the morning anyway. They don't open till 7. So I'm always sitting there waiting for them to get there and wave when they come in. It's like, I'm here. But they understand why I'm coming in so early. I can't go into the stores during the day. I run out of ice. I got to wait till right before they're closing and run in when the parking lot's empty. But everybody's already starting to get a little itchy throats and stuff already. But I normally don't get the flu. I've kind of become immune to the flu because of the toxic chemicals. I never got COVID. If I got COVID, I would have been dead. But the two doctors that I had talked to, they're blood physicians, and he said that my blood is so toxic. He said, when was the last time you had the flu? I said, sometime around 98, 99. I said, I always thought that was weird. You know, that I never got the flu. My mom never got the flu. None of the people I work with, first responders, got sick. Everybody else was dying. Richard came home with the pig flu from work. It was like a three flus, bird flu, pig flu, and swine, whatever it was, flew together. He was in bed for like 3 months. He couldn't eat. I thought he was going to have to go to the hospital. The doctor said the hospitals were full. He said he's better off here because he's just going to get a staph infection. He said as long as you're not getting sick, that's fine. He's already past the contamination point. You would have got sick already. So I never even got that one. So he said it's just so many toxic chemicals. He said you don't get the flu. You never got COVID. He did. Richard got sick 3 times during COVID. I never got it. We were trying to figure out why. And yeah, the snowbirds and Thanksgiving brought the flu to Florida, of course. And Christmas, what's it been, 3 weeks? Yeah, nice 21-day incubation period. Now we got the flu. It always takes about a month for us to get sick. So I've been hiding. We've been hiding. My friend wasn't feeling good either, so we've been kind of staying away from crowds. We only get what we need. Trying not to just go in the store wandering around because you're bored and just want to take a walk. Yeah. My whites are low now, but I have like way too much blood. And I got too many red blood cells that are too big in size, and some of them are becoming misshapen. They actually become pointy. Some of them. It's a weird thing. It's creepy. It's creepy how something mushy and circle can actually make a point. I was feeling like Freddy Krueger was inside my veins. He said, oh, those are the little pointy blood cells and other stuff. It's actually making little rips in your veins, like a little razor blade as they go through. And I was like, no wonder it feels like somebody's hitting me with like paper cuts. And we tried taking it out, and it actually made it worse. It was like, oh, wow, we got room? And I was like, no, we can't take any more out. I was like, oh, I started getting sicker. He said, yeah, we made it go nuts. We're sorry, we had to try. And I was like, well, thanks for telling me. Thanks for the warning this time. But it's like every time you try to fix it, it makes it worse. That's the way it's acting, and it's annoying. And then so many chemicals, nothing works. It kills the antibiotics. I have no antibodies anymore. I can't make any. My blood is so toxic, I can't make antibodies. And the antibiotics, those only last for 2 hours, and then they get eaten up by the cancer cells. So, I don't know. That's probably why I ate up all the COVID if I got exposed to it from Richard. Yeah, that's what I eat. I have to eat half baby food, and I have one half a sandwich, is solid food. My stomach shut down because when I got stuck in the ash cloud, it went in the mouth, up the nose, so it went in my mouth, down my throat, and swallowed, and all through the digestive. Anybody who the ash went in their mouth is now, right about now, there's 25 of us in a group that they're monitoring. We were all, how could I say it? They call it a wave. We were the first wave, meaning we were there before the planes came. We were there for the explosions, and we were there for the towers coming down, getting caught in the cloud. 25 of us are going to 3 of the same doctors who are monitoring us as a group. We're all exactly the same. All of us right now have the bone cancer kicked in. Now the colon cancer is kicking in. Everybody got tumors and stuff growing. We just found them in August. When my mother got hers, My mother already had cervical cancer that she was battling all along since I was in high school. And that was it. She already had cancer, and then she got the breast cancer, the lung cancer, the kidney, and the liver cancer. Like, I have everything she's got. Only difference between the two of us is that she had cervical cancer that was starting to get out of control, uh, where they weren't going to be able to cut it out anymore. They were reaching their limit of operations on her with that. There was nothing left. And, but yeah, we're all the same. Same with the bones. We go to the same DEXA scan guy, does all our tests. And then there's a guy and a woman who monitor all 25 of us. And she says, we could just stack all your scans on top of each other, your x-rays, and they're all the same. You're all identical. So they're all going through the same. I've met a couple of them. I've met 2 firemen, 2 cops, and 1 EMT that's in my group. Um, and yeah, right now our stomachs are shutting down, and the stomach doesn't want to digest anything because the liver and the kidneys are crapping out. So, and the sugar's all over the place. So without making insulin in your body, you can't digest. There's no enzymes. There's too much protein, and it's just craziness. So the food won't digest, and it's going through. You eat the food, swallow it, and instead of 2 hours going by, within a half an hour, your stomach says, yeah, psh, opens the trap door and dumps everything out into the intestines undigested. That's not fun. I'll tell you that. But we found 3 tumors growing and 5 lesions. So my mom died about 2 years after we found them in her, after she had her 3rd heart attack. But yeah. Right now I'm supposed to be on a feeding tube with the bag and the thing, but I can't. I'm allergic to plastic. I get sepsis. They can't clean those plastic tubes. When I had the chemotherapy, in less than 12 hours, I had to be rushed back to the hospital because my entire arm turned black, including my chest, where they put the PICC line in for the 96 days of chemo. So we had to cure the sepsis, then quick do the chemotherapy for 96 days, then rip that back out, and then cure the rest of the sepsis that was starting again. So they're like, said even if we could do dialysis, we can't put a port in her. We can't you can't sterilize plastic. And without an immune system anymore, there's no antibiotics. He said if we put a plastic port in you, it's going to kill you from sepsis. And you don't want to die from sepsis because that was awful. I only remember out of 12 weeks, I remember the first 3 days and the last 10 days before I got out of the hospital. In between, I was unconscious and didn't even know it. Like, I woke up thinking 3 weeks had went by. I went in the hospital at the last week of February and got out February, March. I got out the first week of April. I thought it was March 1st or the end of February. I thought I was only in the hospital 2 weeks. I was in 2.5 months almost. I said, holy shit, that stuff's not good. So I don't want to do that one again. So I don't know there's nothing to do, you know? And it sucks when they tell you that they don't know what's going to happen until it happens, because this cancer doesn't act normal because it's from toxic chemicals. If it was 1 or 2 or maybe 10 toxic chemicals, you might be able to figure out what's coming next. But 157 toxic chemicals, no one's ever been exposed a human being to that before. No one. These doctors don't even know what to do with us. Now they're using us as a study. We're going into a book. So when the other first responders that were in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th waves, meaning days 2, 3, 4, 5, going through the first 9 months, some of those guys aren't even sick yet. There's nothing wrong with them, but in about 10 years, they're going to be where we started. So they're trying to use us as data. So at least for the ones coming after us that worked the last, say, 4 months, we worked the first 5 months, and then another different kind of group came in, which are the digger guys cleaning out that pit. They're a separate group. So they divided the 9 months in half. They said, all right, the first responders here. Once the dirt and the ash was gone, then you got the guys who were digging in the pile of all that garbage down there in the water and stuff. They have totally different stuff happening to them. So I don't know. That's all they could say. Even at the rare cancer center, it's the #1 rare cancer center in America. It's like, we don't know what to do for you because there's nothing to do. The way we treat regular cancer can't be done because that's not how you got it. You know, you didn't spray yourself a weed killer and got mesothelioma. You know, you didn't get it. It wasn't genetically passed down. I don't need, none of the cancer I have came from anything from my dad, from the army. This is all 9/11 crap. It's so bad it knocked his out of the park. It didn't even show up yet. So we in the new, there's a whole like medical manual for first responders now. I'm surprised they've never had an accident out at NASA. Rocket fuel's some nasty stuff. There's about 50 different chemicals that just makes up jet fuel alone. So I don't know. Yeah, I saw those people walking to Brooklyn. Later on, I watched a lot of videos and stuff like that. Richard was in Brooklyn. He came through. I don't know what time he left. I think, no, he watched the towers collapse, so he didn't leave until after the second tower collapsed. He stayed in Brooklyn when they saw what was happening. And I got to speak with him. The governor was nice enough that we were still on like he had some kind of satellite thing, and at the time I had a satellite phone. He called, my mother called him, they were on the phone. She says, I want you to do a favor, just in case. She was worried about him getting out, and I was still on my way home. When the towers collapsed, we were actually on the phone while I was driving through the ash cloud with the governor, Richard, and my mother on the phone. They let her call him and patch him in on the three-way so we could talk to each other, just in case I didn't make it back after I drove through the ash cloud, so we could say goodbye. That was rough. You know, that's a rough day at work when you're saying goodbye to your loved ones, because I don't know what's going to happen in 20 minutes from now for me getting stuck in that crap. It was bad. He was stuck on the George Washington Bridge for like 11 hours in the smoke. You know, he ended up, I think, probably mostly with some kind of a prostate or some kind of cancer down there from his job. But I was freaking out. He was sitting on the George Washington Bridge all day. He sat there watching each other, you know. I'm watching the bridge waiting for it to explode because it's rigged with bombs, and we couldn't get people on and off, and there was the whole thing. They were trying to clear what was on the bridge off, so I knew what was on there, and I'm sitting there over my shoulder all day waiting for the George Washington Bridge to explode with him on it. He's over there watching me, knowing that we're trying to clear the tunnel and make sure there was nothing in there, and watching to see if the Lincoln Tunnel was going to explode. That was a rough day for him. I felt bad for him, you know. He's like, this is a rough life, you know. He said, how long are you going to keep doing this for? I said, I don't know yet. He said, why don't you just become state representative like you want to do and get out of this shit? After that, he didn't want me to do it anymore for a living. I said, well, when I had the heart attack, it couldn't work anymore. I said, well, you got your wish. He said, good. I said, but you do know if it happens again, I got to go back to work, right? That was the part he was maddest about, was that he found out that even if I wasn't doing it for a living, if there's an emergency like that, I still have to go to work. I still had to do the blizzards, the blackouts, and stuff like that. They couldn't find anyone to take my place, so I only worked emergencies on a volunteer basis. So it was better doing blizzards and blackouts than that again. And then Hurricane Sandy came, and he was trapped. He was with us at my house, and my mother came upstairs. She goes, I got a question. She's got to work. Are you staying or are you going? Because if you're going to go, you better leave now, because go hang out with your dad at his house, because you're not leaving. You have 2 hours to make up your mind before we shut the roads down. So his family was far away. They weren't even involved in Hurricane Sandy. Some wind, some rain, but he stayed. And then he worked. He worked. He worked with us. My mom got him in. They hired him, and to work with the maintenance guys and all that. So he actually got to do what I do for 3 months before he could go back to work. So he just stayed and worked with us, ran the shelter, did the stuff. By the end of Hurricane Sandy, he wanted to quit his job and become a first responder. He actually came home one day with an application to the police department. He said, I figured you'd be really pissed off if I took a fire department application. I said, oh yeah, no, I'm not gonna worry about you running into burning buildings, bro. Oh yeah, I had friends on that last train out. I tried to tell them, I was yelling at them to leave the car. I got one call into him. My mother wanted me to call him to tell him to leave the car and walk off the bridge, because we knew what was going on, and they were having trouble with one particular thing they found on the New York side, which what we were trying to get off the bridge, was here, right at the cliff on the New York side. Richard was about maybe 400 feet away from it, where he was parked, because my mother called and she got him on the phone, asked exactly where he was, and she tried to talk to him. Then she sent him to my phone, and he refused to leave the car. And I'm like, just take the title, take the registration, leave the registration and take the title and stuff out of the car. He says, no, I'm not worried about the car. He said that he was worried that if he started walking off the bridge, people would panic because they were starting to freak out. They were there so long, and he was afraid if he started walking, people would start running. And he talked to my mom for a little while on the phone, and he said, I'm telling you, these people are nervous. Some of them look like they're going to jump off the freaking bridge because they won't let us go back into New York. They were making everybody on the bridge continue to Jersey. They wanted everybody out. And he stayed because he was worried about starting a stampede or a riot. One person walks, then some freak somebody out. It takes one person running to cause the entire crowd to go, and especially on that day, it would have been madness. And he was afraid people were going to get hurt and trampled, so he stayed. So I couldn't talk to him anymore after that because I had to be on the waterfront for the rest of the night. But my mom kept having someone patch in and call his phone and turn it on. That's good to be on the inside, right? Once in a while. But for a while we had nothing. Hours, no cell phones for certain hours. But it's been rough. It's been rough. Yeah, I do. I pray every day. Yeah, they turned those off. The minute the plane hit the tower, the first one, most of the cell phones were gone because that was the cell phone tower. That's why they hit that one first. That kind of disrupted everything. And then after it came down, we were in total. That was it. The phones cut. That was the last time I talked to my mother. Was when I was driving through the cloud, and then that was it. Everything was gone after that. They didn't even know where I was, and unless I had to drive through checkpoints on like 4 different towns all the way home with my driver's license to the cops because they had sent them a picture of my driver's license so I could get through the police barricades to go from town to town. He said, we put a bolo out. I said, of what? I said, for who? He said, for you. And I was like, why? He said, because we got sent them your driver's license. No one's going to let you through. Do you got a badge? You got anything with you? I was like, no. He said, well. I was like, okay. So I met a lot of people that day. Madness. So I don't know. I don't know. But that's why he's worried about the blood pressure and stuff. He said, this is bringing all of that up. I don't know. You want to go talk to somebody? I said, I did. I went to 3 times to do that. Once about 9/11, and then twice for having a terminal illness. Every time this goes bad, they keep sending me for like 3 sessions to go talk to somebody, make sure I'm okay about it, and then they let you go. It's like, you got to meet the lady 3 times, and then she lets me go. She goes, I said, is this mandatory? She goes, no, but it looks good on the insurance, you know what I mean? I said, okay. I said, they're not mad we're doing this. She goes, no, it's kind of mandatory, but not. It's still voluntary, but it's mandatory that they offer it once they give you another crazy, like with the heart thing today, yesterday. He's like, I have to talk to you about this. Are you sure? I said, what's she going to do? Put me on Xanax? I can't take that anymore. Last time they gave me one of those was like 11 years ago and it wouldn't wear off. That's how I found out I had liver cancer. It's like, surprise. Every time you take something, it doesn't wear off. You would think it wouldn't work. Problem is that it works too good and your liver can't metabolize certain painkillers and stuff. And if it actually works, it just stays like that for days. For days. They gave me those crazy painkillers for the bone cancer. I took one. I went back and I said, here, take this bottle. I don't want these things. What is that? So I was back in the 60s again with my parents, you know. I was like, damn. I said, I live in a car, bro. I can't take this stuff. I had to sit in one place. I sat in one parking space for almost 3 days waiting for that stuff to go away and for me to feel normal again. I said, that's some crazy stuff they give you when you got bone cancer. I will tell you that. Makes morphine look like nothing. Nothing. They gave me shots of morphine in August for the pain. I didn't even feel it. I drove home after 2 shots of morphine. They had me get up, walk around. I had to talk and answer all kinds of questions. And I'm like, why are we asking all these questions before I'm going? She goes, I got to make sure you're okay before I let you walk out the door. I know you're going to drive yourself home. She goes, I see it doesn't work anymore. We had to be sure, you know. I said, okay. She goes, yeah, this stuff doesn't even work on you anymore. We understand. So at least they put that back in my chart. But it was Social Security who said I couldn't work anymore. So getting to the end of that, what's the problem? I just recertified 10 years ago when I came back. Well, 11 now. 11 years ago, I went recertified, moved here, went through a whole bunch of stuff. And they sent me to their own doctors. Their own doctors. So it wasn't even my doctors. I had to go to Medicaid, federal government doctors for them to say, yeah, you're bad. No, yeah, that's bad. You're gonna die if you go back to work with that heart thing. So yeah, and they agreed, and there was no complaints. So I'm like, what is the issue now? I just got caught in the net just because of my age and how long I've been around. They didn't even look at why I'm on. And for this to take another 6 to 9 months, this is idiotic. It really is. So I know. Social Security has the records. They have everything. They have everything they need. So I don't even understand what's going on. And just because they can't look like they're singling people out, they just cast out a net. I told the guy I called yesterday, my Obi-Wan, my last hope, that I said, I feel like a dolphin caught in a tuna fish net. He said, that's exactly what happened. I said, you know how many other, like, handicap, people with muscular dystrophy, people with multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, what the hell? You got all kinds of sick, disabled people on this one particular SSI thing that they're not supposed to stop, but we have access to the money. I just don't understand why Washington didn't think about putting gas in a car. There's certain things you can't do on the internet. And telling people this shit's gonna sting a little bit? Sting a little bit? What are you, nuts? How are people gonna go to work? Some of these people work part-time. They're on a partial or something. I mean, this is ridiculous. They just whacked every veteran, any disabled person. If you're on your straight Social Security, you're fine. But if you got SSI, SSID, or just plain disability or welfare, that was it. 42 million people just had this happen to them. It's going to be a lot of pissed off people probably by the end of this month. And I wonder how many people didn't figure out, like I did, and give it a shot about buying that Visa card last month so I could put gas in the car. I can't get the oil changed, which would be okay because I won't be driving the fucking car. Where am I going? With no gas in the car. I don't have to get the oil changed. If I had got the oil changed last month early like I was going to do, I wouldn't have had gas money for this month. So, thank you for letting me have a little brains and wait. I said, I could wait till February. He wants me to wait longer because I don't drive that much. So they told me, between January and March. So thank God I didn't take it in. And thank God I didn't go to order the tires. What the hell? I don't know what I would have did. Can't pay the guy. I can't even fix the car if something happens. How do you pay for that? Can't pay for that on the internet. Can't pay my bill at Firestone on the internet. I don't, just idiots. Laundry, can't do my laundry. Can't do nothing in person. Nothing in person. I tried using an app for the gas through BP that you put a PayPal with your card on. There's only one problem with that. You got to take your phone, the barcode, come up. I said, all right, let's see if it works. I told the girl what I'm trying to do. And she's like, oh my God. I said, so anybody else just go. So she took the one guy who was behind me, checked him out. She goes, all right, let's see if this works. So she put my phone underneath, unauthorized purchase. I started crying in BP. And she felt bad. She was almost crying. She goes, so what does this mean? I said, this means I can't get my money out to put gas in my car. I said, this was my last hope. And she goes, oh my, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know. I see her all the time. I said, I don't know. I have no idea. I said, so when you don't see me for a while, you know why. And she goes, I can't believe that. Oh my gosh. She goes, wait, let's try it again. And we sat there for 15 minutes trying to scan the gas at the pump, and it refused to let me pay for it. And that was it. That was yesterday. I tried everything I could try. So, yeah, I know. Trying to be very zen about things, you know. My family came over here. We're not, you know, billion years old here, but, you know, the other half of my family came over through Ellis Island. We in the books, you know. But damn, to scoop everyone up with no exceptions like that, I just, I don't get, I you know, you can't cut off cash. You can't, not yet. We're not set up for that. So even if say that's where they want to go with this, and they want to go cashless, we can't go cashless. We're not set up yet. Just look at what's happening. I don't know. I don't even know if like I needed another sweatshirt. I don't even know if I can order that from Walmart. I just tried ordering food because I don't want after getting yelled at about trying to buy gas on the computer. Not allowed to do that. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. My doctor just he's in disbelief that they could actually have canceled the card that was on the friggin' Amazon truck before it even got put. He was about to put in my freaking mailbox. And they canceled it, took the money back. But Amazon did not refund the money. They took it back they rescinded the money. The bank pulled the money out of Amazon's account and put it back in mine. Amazon had nothing to do with it. I talked to Amazon for 45 minutes on the phone. He said, maybe it's too much. Let's try a $50 one. I said, give it a shot. He said, let me try and do this for you. There has to be something went wrong. And that's when he went in and saw exactly how the transaction was going through. He said, oh no, we just got yelled at. Oh, I hope I didn't get you in trouble. I said, no, I'm just going to say I tried it again because it failed. But he all came through and it said, no, unauthorized purchase, and it just canceled the whole thing. It refusing to let you get one of these. He said, ma'am, I'm so sorry. He said, can I ask why you're trying to get so many of these? And I told him why. We talked me and that guy talked on the phone for probably another 20 minutes. He said, I have friends that this is happening to, but I didn't understand. I haven't been able to talk to them about it. He said, this just started, right? I said, well, I've been started since the shutdown because I was a federal employee, still active duty. So they cut my ass off when they went out and with the shutdown. And he's like, they never turned it back on. I said, they didn't turn it back on when they went back from the shutdown. I've been like this since, September? He said, no wonder your blood pressure is like 300. I said, exactly. Thank you. Thank you. He said, I know it sounds stupid, but try to stay calm. I said, I am. He said, all right, then I'll see you in 2 weeks. I said, please. So he told me if I needed a place to go, I could stay at the back of his parking lot. Problem is, there's no food stores over there. I don't know. Better break down in front of a Publix. I'm not moving. Screw you. Send the cops. I said, are you gonna? I said to the one girl, I said, I'm not gonna get like arrested, am I? She goes, no, we're not gonna arrest you. She said, geez, God. She said, just try and make it in an area where one of us is. So at least I said, trust me, I know my phone call. I have my one phone call. It could be to the sheriff. Wake his ass up. She goes, either that or come park outside our office. That'll get someone's attention. I said, oh yeah. She started laughing. I said, I'll just pull up and conveniently run out of gas in front of the sheriff's department. I said, I live here now. Help me. Do something. Like, damn. But, yeah. But nobody's handing out gift cards with money on them. I've been calling for 3 days. Every phone number I got. I went to the church, spoke with the lady. She gave me 3 more. She called 4 more people that she knows that work with different programs for outreach things, for homeless, for, just everybody. People, poor people, homeless people, whatever, veterans. She goes, I'm going to start sniffing around. Now I got your number, and I'll let you know if I come across cash for gas. I said, a gas card, a gift card for a gas station. Yeah, that's cool. Or a Visa card, anything. It doesn't have to be cash. So I told her the list of the 2 things, either a debit card, a gift card for the gas station, or and I showed her the one I bought. I said, or one of these. That's it. That's the only way I can pay for gas. And she's like, okay, let me see what I do. So, I don't know. It's getting rough. I'm trying not to think about it too much. But yeah, being stuck with Walmart, and Walmart's not cheap. I live out of the dollar store and Dollar General. I only get a few things out of Walmart. I haven't been shopping at Walmart for over 6 months, 7 months. I only get a couple of things from that store that I can't get in the other 2. Now I'm stuck with Walmart. I bought 4 cans of soup. You're going to like this. 4 cans of soup, a little bottle of oil, a little thing of cake, because I got to have sugar with the little marble sliced cake thing. A can of blueberry pie filling, pancake mix for $1.50, and the $2, cheapo maple syrup, and something else, a loaf of bread, and turkey, and a little cheese. It was $45 with paper towels. So 4 little bags of food was $50. And that was nothing. I'm buying their crap paper towels. Okay? I was like, oof. I wasn't trying not to look at the prices. I just ordered it because the money is in the bank. My gas money is sitting in the freaking bank and I can't get it out. So I said, well, I got extra money in there that I can't get out, and I don't know if they're going to roll it over next month like it's supposed to. Now, if I don't spend all my money on my card every month, it stays there and they just add the next month. Not like they say, okay, you didn't use it, let's take that back, here's another $800 this month. No, you can actually save your money, but I make sure I get it off. So there's no issues with that. I either take it out at the Mac or I spend it. Because there's never much left anyway, maybe even like $20. I make sure I get that $20 off. I have no idea. I don't know. So I didn't even look. I just ordered what I needed and got all the Walmart brand stuff pretty much. And I was like, how much was this stuff? That little bottle of oil was probably $6. I bought all the soup because I keep being bad and eating sandwiches, but this sucks. I probably have enough to get to the end of the month. Now I gotta watch what I'm buying. I made 2 orders now with Walmart. I'm like, damn, I'm gonna be running out of money because I have to spend it at Walmart with the crazy prices now. Oh yeah. But I can only order food. So it's not like, and propane. That's the other thing. There's all kinds of crazy laws about the propane. You gotta be 21, gotta show a driver's license when I go in to get it, because they won't let you scan it, because you can, do stupid shit like kids, So the lady always has to come over and clear the thing and say, yes, 21 or over. How do I get my propane? I don't think they're going to do that. I'm bringing it out to you at the car without a driver's license. I don't even know if I could put it on there. I have to try. And that's if Walmart will bring it out. But if I'm allowed to buy propane, they keep saying no to stuff. What if I'm not allowed to buy propane? You know? I don't know. They better send out a rule book here. Now, I was surprised I was allowed to get the pancake mix. I was afraid they weren't going to let me buy anything in a box. What I'm worried about is that they're pressing on this because it's government money. Like food stamps saying now you can only buy fresh produce, nothing in a box, nothing in a can. All right, that's kind of where they're kind of heading, where it used to be like that in the very beginning, way back when I was a little girl, and my dad was gone for, 2 years at a time overseas fighting bad guys. We were on food, the army gave us food stamps. You couldn't buy toilet paper, can't buy paper towels, you couldn't buy nothing in a box. Nothing that was prepared. You couldn't buy like TV dinners, stuff like that. Oh, there's a million. There were only like certain things you could buy in the store. The food stamps was very limited, very limited. And that looks like they're going back, like I said a couple of videos ago, back to 1980s rules, the way it used to be, where it took you 2 years to get on, not 30 days, you know? No, I know, right? That's stupid. Uh, yeah, yeah, that should be okay. I've done that before. So, I don't know what to do. In Florida is asking for driver's license. Every time you want anything, you got to show a driver's license in Florida for some reason. I don't know what's going on with that. You can't get anything. You can't buy knives. You can't buy the propane. Uh, and they're going nuts over even the like cigarettes or the vape pens and anything like that. They're practically looking for ID for chewing tobacco. Yeah, it's like, Jesus, people are getting annoyed. It's like I didn't show this much ID even when I was underage. Like the last couple of years, practically do anything. But I don't know. I'm gonna figure out what to do. And if not, then I'll use the last of the money, drive to Tallahassee and sit outside Governor DeSantis's office. And then I run out of gas there. And I told her that's what I might do too on the phone. I said my last ditch effort is driving to Tallahassee, sitting outside the governor's office, pray and go in and pray to God I can get a meeting. If not, I'm going to be parked outside in your driveway for quite a while because I'm out of gas. You know, somebody needs to fix this, and this is stupid. Yeah, right. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I just don't know. So, I don't know. Dopes. I told my doctor the reason why. He said, why did no one think about that with the gas or anything? I said, you know why? He says, why? I said, because for the last 30 to 40 years with some of them, it was probably the last time they drove their own car, put gas in it, or got an oil change on their own. I said, these guys have been driving around, I said, for 30 years with a chauffeur or someone driving them, or even like the mayor in a town car. Cops used to drive him around. He didn't even own a car. His wife had a car, but he didn't, you know. Half of the congressmen and senators I all know, and the governors, no one drives themselves. They haven't driven a car since they were a councilman or a mayor. That was 30, 40 years ago. They forgot what it's like. When was the last time Trump wasn't in a limousine? Probably what, when he was 12? You know, he probably never even, I'd like to know if he even has a driver's license. That's what I'm saying. They didn't think about these things because they don't do it anymore. They forgot about just the basic necessity of putting gas in a car. How could they not have thought about that before they took away the access to cash? Because it's not something they do every day. They didn't, none of them thought about it. None of them. Not one person in that whole group, okay, who's doing, even the guys doing the fraud. Look at Elon Musk. Friggin' what's his face? When was the last time Elon Musk driving his ass around? He's got chauffeurs and people driving him around, bodyguards. When was the last time he put gas in the car? Because he plugs his in. He forgot. So everybody did checking on all of this. None of these guys drive their own cars. That's the only reason why I could think why no one thought of this. Doesn't make any sense. Oh, the mayor's an asshole. He's an idiot. He's an idiot. Who I couldn't believe got reelected again. So no, there's nothing a mayor can do. I'm better. I went straight to the horse's mouth of people who help run the programs. I don't know. And I need some, you know, you need a higher authority. I can't think of anybody else. You know, my doctor said he'll try to get in touch and find out why this is even going on. But I said, you can't look like you're picking on one person. So they had to go everybody equally. He said, so everybody's equally getting checked out? I said, yep. Especially if you're too young, you're under 65, you got pulled out right away. Anybody between the age of 30 and 60 just got yanked. He said, no matter what. I said, no. He said, obviously, no matter what. I can't believe this. I said, yep. Yeah, well, they're going to learn real quick. They're going to learn really quick. Because there's going to be a lot of cranky people by the end of the month. Because this is what? September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Yeah, 6 months. And then they're complaining and going to start. They just threatened. God, I hate this guy. Jeffries and Booker and those. I've known those two since I was a little girl. Since they were young, in their late 20s. I've known all of these asses on TV. Since I'm 10 years old, and then worked with them all from the age of 19 to 48. That they're threatening they have 24 days, they can shut down the government again. And they just threatened the two of them again, of course, they always do it on Friday. So it freaks everyone out for the weekend, scares all these people half to death. So I don't know if they just got what they want because they passed that healthcare thing and now they're trying to appease them into not shutting down. So they're threatening to shut down again so they get what they want again this time. I just freaking pass it. Because if they do that again, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. They're going to, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to shut everything off. And I don't even know if I'll get a check if they shut down again, because it's going to be federal employees one more time. I don't know. Oh, yeah. Oh, the governors. I see you. Yeah, it would be DeSantis. It would have to be someone like him to make a phone call on my behalf, and it ain't gonna be Social Security. He's gonna be calling Washington. He's gonna be calling Elon Musk and what's his face, like, who's ever doing these reviews on everybody to make sure that, number one, you exist in the first place. How many dead people are still getting Social Security checks? It's insane. But I don't know. Need somebody with some good phone numbers. And that would be actually DeSantis, and that's why I'm trying to call my guy first to see if possibly, because, yo, listen, this is what's going on. Did they realize what they did? Nitwits. Hey, Brightside, how you doing? Yeah, me too. It's getting out of control now. I don't know, but that's my only hope. If I don't hear back from them at the end of the month, I'm just gonna fill the tank up with what I got left, and I'm driving to the governor's office and sitting outside. And that's it. So you see me get arrested on the news, I'll wave and throw you a peace sign, okay? And here's hoping that when I make my phone call when I get arrested, that the sheriff answers and lets me out. And said, well, I went to go to talk to the governor, and he got pissed. And they towed me out and arrested me, because that's the West Coast, and they don't like van life on the West Coast. So that's the bad thing, is that if I get stuck out there, I could get arrested and towed. So if you're coming in a van to Florida, don't go to the West Coast. You better stay on the East Coast. Or somewhere kind of in the middle. Just don't go west. Not from north to south either. Forget it. It's over. I don't know. I'm gonna give it a shot, because there ain't nothing else. This is stupid. Stupid. When I was talking to the woman at their office, I said, what choice do I have? At the end of the month. You tell me what choice I have when I put my last $20 in, and February 1st comes, and I can't do it anymore. Hey, Zach, how's it going? I'm not quite understanding what REM means about my Dixie wrecked. Was that your RV? So, and she says, no, I completely understand. She says, I said, I know I'm breaking 9 kinds of laws. I know. But I have no choice. I have no choice but to run out of gas in a food store's parking lot that will bring the food to your car. I gotta find one in a decent area, so I already have it set up, and I kind of told her the area and where I might try if it comes down to that. And I said, I'll leave that as the first choice. I said, otherwise I don't know what to do. I really don't. And I bet I could probably do DoorDash, but I bet that's an unauthorized purchase. It's not health food. JFK will get pissed at me. Oh my God. I'll give up. It was like I couldn't even use the McDonald's app at that point, because nothing's gonna work. They just keep stopping everything. That's what's maddening, is that you're stopping my purchases. I don't like this. I really don't. Didn't know we moved to Russia overnight where you can decide what I can and cannot buy. So, don't want to get any more trouble, but yeah, that's not right. Not until at least after you make your decision and set up the new rules. Can't wait for those to show up. But this taking another 9 months, I might not be done with this review until November. That's insane. What am I going to sit there for 6 months? Not moving? I don't know how many people that's gonna go over well. I'm gonna sit on the freaking curb with a sign. Swear to God. Oh, so before I'm sitting on the corner with a cardboard sign at the red light with everybody else, I'm going to Tallahassee. It's the only place to go. Unless I sit outside Mar-a-Lago, write a letter, and beg the Secret Service guys to give it to Trump. To tell him how badly they screwed up with this. And then I break down across the street. I could do that too. But I could get in more trouble doing that than I will breaking down in front of DeSantis's house. And she said, yeah, I don't know about that with everything going on, what's happening, and people getting shot and stuff. She goes, you might not want to go near Mar-a-Lago and break down. I said, well, maybe it's the Secret Service guy I know from September 11th or the NSA guys. Say, hey, remember me? We sat next to each other for 9 months. Ay. That would be my only hope. Or run into my 2 FBI buddies I spent 2.5 years with every day. Too bad my guy is, the one guy I work with every single day, 24 hours a day, his name, I can't say his last name, was Special Agent Brian. He passed away about a year before Richard did. He died. He had a bunch of, kids that were, older now, but he had a family. He had 2 small babies when 9/11 happened, and it was funny because both of us had just started. We were only there less than a year doing these 2 jobs. He just became a special agent, and I just became in charge of all that bullshit. I was like, and got sworn in. So we started together as rookies. So he was always nice, and for 25 years back and forth with, all kinds of stupid stuff happening. We had 178 issues with packages and stuff, but I mean real ones. These were real, like, holy crap. And 68 out of the 178, and that's when I left in 2015. We're almost up to 200 stopped things, 68 of them would have made September 11th look like nothing. So we had a lot of contact all the time, at least on a weekly basis. It was nuts. And but if he were around, hell yeah, I would have called him. Said, yo, talk to these idiots at the FBI. Maybe I'd call Dan Bongino. He's back on the podcast. He quit. Look at that. That was something, huh? I knew he wasn't going to last long. That guy's going to drop dead of a heart attack if he was staying any longer. I knew he was going to leave. Yeah, I know. He's too busy. He's on his whirlwind tour of talking crap around Florida. He's got one speech after another. I was going to look to see his speech schedule and see if he was actually leaving the West Coast. He's just like stucco. He's going up and down, from north to south on the West Coast over there with all kinds of new things. And the beautification of Orlando. They're going to put in all new sidewalks and trees and park benches. Billions of dollars to prettify Orlando. I said, so what? At least the homeless people can sleep on benches under trees again now, right? Instead of taking that money and building homeless shelters or putting the money towards building at least some smaller buildings. Georgia is even building tiny home villages up there to help the home. They're putting tool sheds in little communities, trying to get the homeless people in there where they could charge them, like, say, $200 a month rent or $300. They would do 30% of your income if they're on SSI or welfare. That's a HUD minimum is 30% of your income is the rent. So I said, maybe I could sneak into Georgia. Do something like that here. I was so angry when I saw the waste of money to put trees in Orlando on the sidewalks. You just took them all out. And now they're going to waste money redoing sidewalks and stuff. Nobody's walking around the city like that. Everybody's in Disney. So I was going to look up and see if he had a schedule and if he was coming to the East Coast doing one of these little rally things he's doing. I can get right in there. I got right up to him. I met him twice when he was speaking with both Trump elections. And he came over. I went to hear him twice and shook his hand, said hi, blah, 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 talked to him on the way in, was talking to the crowd. I wormed my way right to the front of the line. I told one of the guys who I was, and he let me come up front. And if I could do that again, I'd write him a letter and just hand it to his, and give it to his assistant. I don't even need to see him, just give it to his assistant. Because there ain't no lawyer going to be able to do this. There's no one to sue. There's no lawyers involved here. This is that they got to change what they did. But the guy on Amazon, he knew 6 people, 2 relatives and a couple of friends, and then friends of friends, who all of a sudden had no money. He said, now I understand. He was asking me all kinds of questions so that he could understand what's happening. And I said, this is why. He said, so there's no way to stop it. I said, no. And it probably won't stop until all the people are done. I don't know if one by one, as you go through your review, we're going to be released and our cards turned and given access to the ATM again, or it's got to wait until all 24 or 42 million people get checked out. That's a lot. Right now, they're probably working with about 24, 25 million people under the age of 60. And that would be age of 21 through 60. They're not going to take anybody underage. Under the age of 21, they're not going to bother, still a child. So, I don't know. Well, thank you very much. But that's what's going on. And that's that. So, I don't know. I don't know. What's new with everybody else? Did you get filled in, Lioness? There's a lot going on. Bad test results, bad heart, blood pressure going through the roof. 6 months of dealing with shutdown. I'm still in a lockdown. I can't believe it's gone on this long. I can't believe it's been that long until the doctor said something yesterday. I was like, oh, that's right, it's January. He said, when did this start again? I'm like, he said, didn't they shut down at the end of September? I said, yeah, they did. Oh, my God. He said, that's been 6 months already. Yeah. Everybody's going back where they came from. Well, not too many. We went from 17 million people to 32 million, and I think by now the actual real count is closer to 35, because we have roughly 10 million people living in their cars in the state of Florida. And new people every day. Every day. When I left where I was, I had to go back. I had to waste gas coming back and forth, and I'm running out. I got to figure out where I'm going to break down and run out of gas. But it's crazy crowded. For a while, people were disappearing, and now all of a sudden, every parking lot is packed. Packed. The parks are overloaded. There's not an empty spot in any of the parks during the day. It's crazy. And some of the parks you can't, like the state parks, you can't even get into. Unless you're there when they first open, and now you got to buy tickets online and things like that. And I had thought, I said, well, I have the gas money in there. Maybe I'll get a campground. Oh, yeah, right. She doesn't have an opening until next August, and it's only 2 days. There's so many people living in their cars here that you can't even get a campground spot. It's insane. And I thought, well, I'm not going to eat, $400 worth of freaking food this month. Might as well grab a spot. What I was thinking of was this week, it's going to be back to 40 degrees again. And it was cold. It was cold. And get a spot for a night or two next week on the coldest nights, and forget it, they got nothing. And they're taking reservations up to 2 years in advance. I said, how can you do that? Nobody's going to get in. I live here and I can't get a spot. There's one park I have not been to, and it's over by Cape Canaveral. 11 years, and I'm not shitting you. 11 years. I've been trying to buy a day pass just to get into the park to swim on the beach. It's a beach park. 11 years. They're full up every single day. The campground, forget about it. She goes, you couldn't get in for the next 10 years if you wanted to. We got all kinds of crazy wait lists and reserve lists and cancellation lists. And I was like, Jesus. I told the lady, I said, I've been back here for 10 years. I haven't once been into the park. And she goes, you probably never get in this park. And I was like, so you don't keep a certain amount just for residents? And she goes, no, it's first come, first served. So half of the people in Florida can't even go to the state parks because we can't get in. There's so many people hanging out there all day or living in the campground. So that's why we all on the beach. Yeah, Monday's going to get good. Tomorrow night, Sunday night into Monday, and then we're going to be back into the 40s again, 30s, and then the wind is kicking up. Tomorrow it's going to be 25 to 28 miles an hour for like 24 hours. We're going to get those tropical winds that come in the summer, like a Santa Ana wind, where just, like I told you, it was like a week, and we had the 30-mile-an-hour wind that doesn't stop like California. That comes again in the winter, but we get it in short bursts instead of like a month at a time. So that's coming tomorrow. I can't wait. That's why I was making sure I went out to make sure that the wires on that solar panel were nice and tight, because we're going to have probably over 35-mile-an-hour winds with the cold that comes in. But yeah, it's going to be like Gilligan's Island, rationing crap out like a hurricane now. Good thing I'm used to living like this. I said it's not so bad. I'm used to living like this anyway, but especially here, you never know when you're allowed to drink the water. The electricity is just going to spontaneously turn off once in a while for days at a time. Or there just is nothing. Crazy hurricanes and storms are coming, But I don't know. I got to figure something out. And quick. Got 20 days to figure this out. It's the 10th already, right? I don't even know what date it is. I've lost track of the date. The 10th. Okay, I got 20 days to figure out how I'm getting gas. Oh, fuck. Oh well, right? Oh, really? They're supposed to give a discount at the parks for the residents, and every time I go with my driver's license, no one gives out the discount. But all over their website is like, oh, discount, resident, non-resident. No, when you get to the park in person, no resident discounts. We pay what everybody else pays. As far as Brevard County is concerned, now that I'm up a little farther north, I haven't gone to the one state park that I really like a lot, because everybody's freaking YouTubing all over it. Now the place is packed. And I'm not saying the name. I can't now. I lost my other park. But I wish they would go back to that again. Maybe I'll look. I have to call and see what they're offering. But the place I wanted to go that was fairly close to where we are now, forget it. They got nothing. Especially during the winter. Everybody's living in the car. They stay out all summer, and then they move back into the campgrounds during the winter. The winters are more busier than the summer is, because everybody just hangs out at the beach. They got the showers and bathrooms and stuff. You can just the outdoor shower. You got hot. You can jump out of your van, get wet. That's what I was doing. The first summer, I was staying at the 24-hour beach, jumping in and out. During the day, I parked right outside the bathroom. Get out, walk over, throw my garbage out, use the toilet, and then come outside, wet myself in the shower, and get back in the van. That was the best thing. So the winters are the worst down here. There's nowhere to go. You can't get in anywhere. And this is like prime season, too. You would think the summer is. This is actually a seasonal rate time. I thought we were out of that because everyone went home after New Year's. I thought from January to at least April 1st was an off season. No, there's still $38 a night. They're supposed to drop down to $22, but nobody has. It says it on the internet, but that's not the price you get charged when you get here. So be careful. It says one thing on the website, so always make sure you call and double check the price. But we'll see what happens. Is it 10:30? We're about to run out of juice. But solar panel is really good. I've been getting electricity. We've been having hard times with our internet now. I understand why. Plus, every time we do something, like, arrest people in other countries, our internet goes out and the phones go down. So I live in between, say, 2 Air Force bases and Mar-a-Lago. It's like the Bermuda Triangle, okay? It's like he's here, they're here, forget it. And then NASA. It's forget it. Anytime they're shooting rockets off or we aggravate somebody or something's going on, everything gets shut down. So that's what's happening. So now I'll be able to every beach has got showers on the East Coast, every single one, all the way down from from Jacksonville to Miami. You go to any beach, they all got bathrooms and outdoor showers, the indoor showers, not like Jersey. And I understand why they can't have it. I get it. Forget it. There'd be a line out the door if they had indoor showers in there. There wouldn't be an empty spot in the parking lot. Everybody living in a car would be there. There were some problems. No, Florida was actually telling people to stay out of Ocala's National Forest, to stay out of the free camping. They're having an awful time. patrolling there. We don't have enough like forest rangers to go through those parks, and there's some really nasty stuff going on in there. Uh, they found a couple of people who were not alive anymore by a bunch of hikers. There were like four in Ocala Forest. I don't know why it wasn't all over the place. I think they didn't want to freak everybody out, but we had a warning to residents to stay the hell out of the national forests. And if you're going to go in the state park, stay out of the trails. Just go do your thing in the picnic and family areas, but don't be wandering off. No free camping, no BLM land, and no national forest. To stay out, especially women. That city is nasty enough. They're on the news every other hour. The north, and it's pretty area too. It's very foresty, huge giant pine trees. You think you're upstate New York or in Colorado or Montana or somewhere. It's beautiful forest. I've been there. I made my rounds through, but did not stay in any of that free stuff. No. I did that once with Duke, and next thing you know, I don't know if you remember, I was out in Central Florida on a cattle ranch doing free camping, where you get the gate codes and stuff like that, and there was like a senior group there that week. So it's all right, me, Duke, and a bunch of old people. All right, we'll be cool. So we're there, and there's like 5 million helicopters one day. Cop cars, zoom, 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 sirens all over the place. And I kept getting a creepy feeling. And if any of you saw that, I was supposed to be there 10 days and I left on day 3, right? Because I knew something was wrong. There was too much traffic going on, and then it stopped. And then on the 3rd day, that afternoon, there were cops all over the place again, across the street and down the road. Now I'm in the middle of farmland. There's nothing around but empty woods and wildlife preserves and stuff like that, right? But just cattle, longhorn cattle. All right, it was beautiful. I loved the place. It was great. It was nice. I'm watching the news that night, and while we're sitting there in the dark outside with a little fire going, I'm watching the news directly across the street. The reason why the cops are there is because a man killed his 12-year-old stepdaughter on her birthday and buried her about 2,000 feet away from where I was parked. Directly across the street was the entrance to this wildlife preserve. He didn't even go in that far. He went in maybe 2,000, 3,000 feet. If that, he was right near the road when he just drove in, dumped her, and took off. They were looking for her for about a week, and they found her across the street from where I was, and that's when I told you guys, I said, don't do this. Forget it. I tried it. This is not the thing to do. Because all that land is unkept. You got 6-foot-high weeds. You don't know who's in there. Besides the alligators and animals, and we have mountain lions and black panthers still here. Cougars wander down from the Appalachian Trail. They actually end up down here. I'm reading the thing. Yeah, you have to. That's the hardest thing, is that I told him, I said, you can't let your guard down the whole day, because the minute you do, stupid crap happens. Like the first time, the 5 guys jumped my car. Every one of them got 2 guys on this side, 2 guys on that side. Everyone grabbed the door. At 3 in the morning, I woke up with 5 guys trying to break in my car at a Cracker Barrel on I-95. So I try to tell the ladies, just because you're in the Cracker Barrel and there's some nice older men, hanging out, just RV, and no, they're freaking thieves. They're robbing people when the Cracker Barrel closes. So, yeah, never did that again. Yeah, but no, they said all of them. Statewide, no national forests. The state park, campgrounds, yes. But please be vigilant. But they don't want anybody hanging out and camping in the national forest. There's something going on there that they're not really explaining to anybody why. There's just bad stuff going on. They don't have enough people to be wandering through, and some really nasty things are happening. So until further notice. Like, this was a couple of months ago, and then they keep saying, no, that thing is still up about the national forest. Stay the hell out of there. And every cop I ever see says, you're not going over that free shit, right? I said, no. He said, good, stay out of there. I was like, okay, but they never say why, but there's bad stuff happening. It's probably homeless on homeless, those, the really nasty guys. Like the idiots who tried to break into my car. They're all out there. I think because they chased everyone out of the parking lots when they were doing we're going to arrest you kind of thing, and they got the people who were sleeping on the streets in the city, they pushed them out, and I think pushed them out into the free land because they left them kind of nowhere to go. So I've seen these people walking around, they're filthy dirty, they got babies. These women are being abused out there, and they got kids being born in the woods. I watched this kid grow up on the railroad tracks by my house. It was ridiculous. I'm like, this kid is living in the street next to the railroad tracks, and he was born out there. I watched him till he was 5 years old when I finally left the house. She used to sit every day, and she was a young girl, and she was with this group of like 40 people. They have a little family cult kind of, commune thing. They're a traveling pack of homeless people, but they're bad. These are the ones breaking in. They break into all the trailer parks that they sleep on the other side of the railroad tracks from, and then they move to another city. So they'll rob a whole bunch of trailer parks all the way down, up and down, and they just keep following the railroad tracks. They'll go from Jacksonville down to Miami, and then they'll come back up again. And you won't see them for 6 or 7 months, and then all of a sudden they're back again in the same place with the same people. I recognize the woman and the boy. Well, the girl and the little boy. He got so big, I just saw him right before I left. He was about 5 years old. Yeah, there's a shortage of rangers and stuff. We don't have enough. Who wants to walk in those woods with the shit 10 feet high? They're flying over, and there's a lot of helicopters that hover over these areas in different places, and you'll see them in the middle of nowhere. Just the sheriffs and like 5 helicopters will be circling one particular area, and they're just hovering over the unkept, wilderness preserve. We have a lot of unkept land here that's for animals, and they're always circling over there, constantly over the outskirts of the parks too, just looking to see what's going on. But they know what's going on, they just don't want to tell you. These are the really hillbilly, creepy people. I feel sorry for that kid, and I can't believe that no one has taken that child away from them yet. Really, come on. You want to be an adult and be out there, but no one is going in to rescue that girl and that little kid. We tried in the trailer park. They called the cops many times, and there was nothing they could do because by the time they came back, they were gone. And you can't just snatch her and leave. You got to get a court order and a warrant and thing, and by the time they find her and that kid, and then they go get the paperwork and come back again to get her, they're gone. And they're in another city. Yeah. I wouldn't even go to quartzsite. Those people are nuts out there. All kinds of horrible things happen out in quartzsite. Oof. People disappear every day out there. There was like what, 25 people disappeared in the last couple of years in Quartzsite. They found the cars, but they never found the people. 2 of them were YouTubers. Another young YouTube kid from out west, a young guy, he disappeared. They finally found him. It's been 2 years and they finally found what was left of him out in the desert. And I was like, nice. That's nice. One guy, they've been looking for 3 years for him. They never found him. They never found nothing. They found everything he owned, the car, all kinds of, there was like trails of stuff for 3 years they've been finding of his. And then, but they've never found him. Yeah, they stopped those. They only do it certain times a year. The controlled burns. But they've been better at cutting stuff down. But they, every once in a while, they need to get into the wilderness with a weed whacker. But usually it's near a marshland. Last year, half of Merritt Island burned down. I got caught up in that. It got too close to us. I didn't know. I thought it was burning going north. It started burning coming south. And I was very close to where it was and didn't know it. And all of a sudden, I was sitting there with this other woman, and everything just got black. I was like, what is this, black fog? And she goes, no. All of a sudden, my nose and my eyes started burning. I was like, oh my God, we got to get out. It was fire. It engulfed the entire park. It blew across the river, and just, that was it. You couldn't see where you were going. And we finally got out, and we had to go south. Then we had to go west to go all the way around to get away, because there was no way to go north, because the wind was blowing. I forget what. The wind was blowing one way, but the fire started burning another, because there's like crosswind, so that smoke was everywhere. It took us forever to get away from it, and it was clogging up the car. That even with the air on and the stuff, the vent closed, I still couldn't breathe in the car. I had to turn it off and just keep the windows closed. You couldn't even see, your eyes were burning. There's burning all kinds of old furniture. Some people live out there in those animal preserves, and they're always scanning and watching them, because that's the reason why, for the wildfires in the animal preserves, because people are living in there. Their campfire problems. Yeah, good. Yeah, I know. That's what I missed about Duke. But Duke was a little tiny, though. He wasn't going to hurt nobody. I mean, he could have, but, you know, you need a big dog. You need a big, scary dog. Scare the crap out of people. So I have a big, scary gun. 2 of them, and one that'll just hurt you a lot. So that's all. I'm looking, we're turning yellow on my battery light here, 2.5 hours. That's about my limit on this phone before it overheats and turns off. It's like a little stoplight, only in reverse. It goes from green to yellow to red, upside down. So I will talk to you guys in a few days. I'll keep you up to date. We got 20 days to go to see what happens. Hopefully somebody somewhere comes up with something. If not, I can't think of anything else to do. Because there's nobody else to do it. You know, if I can't find someone who's semi in charge, that I can wiggle the way around, that people I know who know them, and he knows him, and he's got everybody's phone number, you know. I mean, not just to help me, but to explain, like, do you know what you just did? Do you know? And everybody I talk to in authority can't believe they had no idea this was going on, and that they actually really did this. They thought it was a joke and it was a threat. I said, oh no, and he said it was going to sting a little bit to some people who didn't deserve it. Yeah, right here. This is what happened. This was what the sting for a little bit was going to be. They didn't say it was going to be a year. Can't do that, so I got to figure something out. I don't know. I'll let you know if I do a live stream from prison. Will you bail me out if I do a GoFundMe? I might need it. I'm a little angry. So I'll let you know what's going on. Otherwise, I'm just trying to stay calm and not watch the news anymore. I've just been binge watching TV shows for the last 48 hours. I haven't even been listening to anything. Doctor's orders, no news. Stay off of the friggin' internet and just watch some TV shows, okay? I said, okay. Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm tired. I'm exhausted. At least I know why. Some days I'm either really, really tired or I can't sleep at all. My blood pressure's too high. I got insomnia. And when it drops down, he said once you come from 300 to 225 and you come back to 110 over 80, he said you're going to crash like a rock. He said you're just going to be sitting there and you're out. You know, in mid-sentence, you could just fall asleep. So please, he said, when you're feeling sleepy, you know, watch the drive-in, watch what you're doing. I said, I'll just sit and park. I said, I can stay in one place all day. Doesn't matter. Just find a nice, busy parking lot. Grocery stores are kind of the best. Any place that's got people coming and going so fast. That's why I like the gym. People in there 2-3 hours, they're gone. Nobody knows you're there all day. Just hide out away from the front door. Nobody will bother you. As long as you're not in prime parking space right in front of the front door, okay? If you're going to spend the night, stay in overflow parking all the way to the outer edge, and you should be fine. You should be fine as long as you're not taking up space of someone going in and out of the gym and you're just coming there to take a nap and spend the night. Everything's been good to go, you know? Throw out all your garbage, find your place you're sleeping, don't open the windows, don't open the doors, don't get out. You're going there to put your TV on in the back and go to sleep, not open the doors or the windows. I pull in, turn off the lights, close my curtain, and jump in the back. Just have everything ready before you get to your night spot. If you cause attention to yourself, some nitwit will complain. That's where everybody's getting into trouble, you know? They're doing too much stuff outside their vans in the place they want to sleep. You know, hanging out while the sun's up is one thing, but once it starts getting dark, you know, try and maintain your activities to inside the car, okay? Have a great evening, and I will see you in a day or two. I'll make some phone calls on Monday, find out how long this is going to last, what my options are, and I don't know what they're going to tell me. I don't even know if they can tell me how long it's going to happen for, but I'm going to give it a shot just to see where I stand with them and make sure there's nothing stupid going on besides just wanting to go through the Medicaid review, and this can take forever. So I can't believe my doctor said it's going to take him like almost 6 months just to get the paperwork for the last 20 years. Ugh. Good luck with that. I'm glad it's him and not me, and there's nothing I can do to help him either. He said, this is going to take me 3 months just to get the stuff and another 3 months to sift through it and just to figure out what the hell they want and put it together in the order that they want it. He said, it's very confusing. He doesn't even understand what it is they're looking for. He says, it's going to take me a week to read the papers to figure out what's going on because this is all different. I've never even seen this packet of papers. I said, it's a brand new year. Like that. And he says, yeah, I see. Relax until I get this figured out, okay? I'm on your side, okay? I can make some phone calls if I have to and try to fix whatever's going wrong. He says, okay, you have me on your side, on your behalf to make phone calls. Just, it's going to take me some time to sift through and figure out exactly what they want and why they want it and see if I can figure out where they're going with this. I said, okay. He said, just give me some time, and I'll talk to you in 2 weeks. He wants to, I have to go back and have him check the blood pressure again. So I gotta have happy thoughts before that visit. I'll watch some cartoons before I go into the office this time. All right, I'll see you guys in a couple of days. I'm gonna get charged up. Maybe we'll do a cold night live stream. A freezing in Florida live. How's that? I'll do that during the week when it's nice and cold. So, thank you for coming. Thank you for the lovely thoughts. And, yeah, that's it. Say some prayers. We can figure this out in 20 days. That's all I got left. 20 days. I'll see you guys soon. Thank you, Bright Sides. And Cheryl and everybody. Have a great night. Carefree Highway. Thank you. Thank you, Kimmy. So have a great rest of the weekend. What's left? It's Sunday. I can sleep in tomorrow. Nobody's here. None of these places don't open till 10 o'clock, so I can sleep in tomorrow morning. I will. I'll see you guys. Give me a day or two. Probably maybe Tuesday. I think it'll be cold by Tuesday night. So maybe the freezing Taco Tuesday live stream. All right. I'll see everybody later because we're about to get kicked off. My phone's going to crap out. Have a good night, everybody. And take care and don't hurt nobody. No fighting. Leave the relatives alone. Wait. There it goes. Okay. We're leaving. We want